I have identified what table on what grid have been used to make these patterns in a problem named Table Patterns Go Wild. The first pattern is the table of 5 in an 8 grid because the gap between two colored boxes is 4. So the next colored box is 5 spaces ahead. The second pattern can be made by any grid between 5 to 12 grid, and the table has to be one less than the grid number. For example, the grid is an 8th grade and the table will be 7 if the grid is an 8th grade. Because to make a single left or diagonal pattern line, the table has to be one less than the grid number. The third pattern can be made by any grid between 6 to 12 grid, and the grid has to be the same as the table. Because to make a one straight line, the table has to be the same as the grid number. The fourth one can be made by 9th grid or 11th grid, and the table is 2 in both cases. Because a checked pattern is formed by the table of 2 on an odd number grid. The fifth pattern is the table can be the table grid of can be made by any grid between 6 to 12 grid, and the table has to be one more than the grid number. Because to make a one rightward diagonal line, the grid has to be one more, the table has to be one more than the grid number. The sixth one is the table of 6 in a 9 grid because the gap between two colored boxes is 5. So the next colored box is 6 spaces ahead. The seventh one can be the grid of 8 or 11th grid, and the table is always 3 because the gap between two colored boxes is 2. So the next colored box is 3 spaces ahead. The eighth one can be the is the table of 7 and is the grid of 11 because the gap between two colored boxes is 6. So the next colored box is 7 spaces ahead. Thank you.